All right. Hello, everyone. Eric Watson here. Welcome to Chat for the Lost Plane, our weekly live-streamed post-session discussion where we talk about what just happened during our D&D session. This is the chat for session number 12. So if you haven't watched that session yet, please go do that now because there will be spoilers. DM Chris is here.
Hello.
Player Raymond.
Hello.
And baby Emma.
That's right.
Player Heather.
Hi.
Hey. So we did the dragon thing,
Yes, you did the dragon thing.
and it did end up taking up a good chunk of the session, but I also thought it was some of the most fun moments we've had in this campaign.
That was good. That was good. I was concerned about all the different ways it could go.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, it could go real quick. I was going to sort of make it like 3 successful checks, and you got
I
the sword
noticed,
out.
yeah, even with a success, you were like, okay, that gets it out like partially.
Yeah, because I knew that, like, I kind of knew, I was looking at the initiative scores, that you guys were likely going to go before the dragon initially.
Yeah.
And I want to give you a little bit of challenge there. So I was like, okay, take a couple different ones to do it. But I was afraid, like, okay, what if they like really just spam the thing, like somehow get it done real quickly, it ends up being nothing. I also, from a DM's perspective, really didn't want you guys to fail spectacularly in terms of if you had both fallen off the dragon, that situation would have gotten real bad real quick. Like, a dragon would do, like, strafing runs with his breath weapon, and suddenly it's a very different situation. Where I don't know if you'd be able to get back on the head of a dragon as it's flying around, breathing poisonous gas on you.
I guess it could have been problematic.
Do you by chance happen to catch on to what I was trying to do with the dragon?
With the persuasion?
Yeah, when I
Like
kept
talking to
saying,
him?
they will not remove the sword, they will not remove
Oh, you were wanting to do it yourself? Yeah. That would have been good.
If
The
he put his
dragon
head
was-
down, I would have patted him out of the way and gone, yeek!
Yep, nice. That would have been good, but the dragon was full on, like, antagonist mode at that point. Yeah, there were
Yeah.
persuasion, deception checks are very difficult once your like initiative has been rolled and you're like in the heat of battle.
I have a +8 to persuasion. It's my one good thing.
And this was not quite an ancient dragon. It was kind of a modified black a little bit. It was better than an adult. It had, because I don't know if adults have full layer actions and legendary actions and everything. But yeah, it was a sizable foe. You guys never even really saw his breath weapon.
Mm-mm.
That which is story-wise is what was used to commit the genocide.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually didn't take much damage because, I mean, you did that one round. We had a multi-attack. And then it was like the fear and just the flight, like just creating the environment of the danger, which also, I mean, the water one was also a really fun scenario because of that same reason, that the river rapids, it was just this exciting situation we all had to react to.
Right.
Almost
Yep.
as opposed to a traditional just combat encounter.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because a lot of this wasn't. You guys did a couple attacks against the dragon, but it mostly wasn't you. You guys weren't trying to attack the dragon. Really.
No.
You had a specific goal for that combat.
That and we knew we were gonna die.
Yep.
+13.
What kind of dragon was that?
A green dragon.
Just straight up adult?
It was a modified. It was not quite an ancient green dragon.
Okay.
It was a slightly modified where he had basically he had all of the a lot of the ancients' abilities. I don't know if adults versus ancients I forget what they get and they don't get. But like he had layer actions, he had legendary. That's what every time. I always feel bad for Rochelle because she's the only one casting spells sometimes, but because of that, she's the one who's going to find out that creatures. Some creatures are just either so resistant.
Yeah.
Or in the dragon's case, if he had failed, dragons have legendary resistance. They can just choose to succeed.
That's true. Yeah.
At least 3 times a day.
But, and we'll get to that in a second, Marina did not seem to have legendary resistance.
No, she did not have legendary resistance.
Interesting.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah, but I really like the dragon situation. I thought that was really fun.
that was very good, yeah. And you guys, handled that very, very well. It was very funny. Once again, I was kind of at the mercy of the initiative rolls.
Yeah.
He went.
We talked
real
about that
slow.
last week. That was a big deal about how, which
Yep.
it ended up. I think you called it right. Where it's like, well, it's going to take you guys a couple chances anyway to pull the sword out. So
Yep.
even if I, in other words, I'm going to bare minimum try to make this dragon last like 2 rounds or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think the initiative ended up being that big of a deal because I don't think
It
we
didn't
would've-
end up. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't
It
think we would have
ended
been
up
able to beat him in 1 round anyway.
Yeah. For sure.
Were we supposed
Yeah.
to do something with the werebear thing, or was that just your way of closing that off for us? Or
No, you didn't have to do anything. You could have gone and talked to him if you wanted to.
yeah,
If you had gone and talked to them, you would have found out that they worshipped Marina like a god, but that she kept them kind of very meager feeding, where she allowed them to feed, and that there's a whole other like little subplot that's going on down there. There was one werebear who
We've never
refused
interacted with.
and yeah, and so the plot there was those werebears were like there as sort of like quote unquote guardians of Marina, but they worshipped her. She let them eat what she let them eat, but there was one werebear named Vool who ate too much. He just decided he was just gonna go out and eat whatever he wanted to eat. That's why she told you to kill all the werebears, because she decided like, okay, the werebears are just out of control now. They're not doing what I tell them to do. Murder them all.
but we would have shown up and been like, oh, they're actually fine. They like her. Just one person was a bad egg or something.
Yep, exactly.
Interesting.
If we talk
And
to
she
them.
would have not
If we
been
talk
okay
to
with
them,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and she would have absolutely not been okay with that. It would
Interesting.
have been like, well, I don't care if it's just one of them or all of them. There's no half measures. It's her whole thing.
So it would have been pretty hard to actually like legitimately do her quest line. I feel
It was kind of the ally with the devil sort of quest
yeah.
line. Like, you could do it, but you'd all have to do
I
some.
mean, I like that dilemma a lot. I like
Yeah.
being faced with those.
And
tricky
that was kind of
choices.
what the whole thing was leading up to. Was like, okay, you find out she's murdered lots and lots of people.
Yeah.
You find out it's a whole city. She put werebears where the city used to be. She's keeping them as like it's like you keep finding out more things about her that are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah, exactly.
Was it always the intention to have the dragon do its own thing during that fight and just kind of create a separate scenario the dragon has to deal with?
As of last week, yes.
Yeah.
Like when you guys last week got as far as you got, which was like, we're gonna go pull the sword. I was like, okay, I'm gonna assume they're gonna be successful with that, because if they're not, then they're fighting a almost ancient green dragon the entire session next session, and that'll be its own thing.
Yeah.
But assuming that they were successful, I was like, okay, he's got to join the fight. And listen, folks, I'm pretty good at multitasking. But there's a lot of shit going on in this forest.
Yeah.
And at some point, I was like, all right, Marina's got her chimera, she's got her woodwoe, she's got her ravens. There's fucking 16 ravens, giant ravens on that tree.
What are giant like?
Yeah, they're not too terrible, but there's just a bunch of them.
Okay. Like CR1 or what's the like?
I'll look it
Are
up.
they stronger than that?
Yeah.
Just normal beasts, which is giant.
Yeah, exactly. They are CR1. Giant ravens are CR1. Yep. So 16 of those flying around,
Yeah, it's
and
equal,
but
like,
they
brown
do have the
bears.
flyby. They do have the flyby. So it was going to be if without the dragon, essentially they were going to be like just fly like on their turn. They're just going to be swarming you for a bit, and then they'd
Okay.
be out of range of your attack.
I like that solution though. Like you got an ally, so instead of adding to the chaotic fight in a D&D session, we're just going to eliminate this threat that you would have had
Yes.
to deal with instead.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. I accept that.
Yeah. So that was sort of your reward for doing the Valdemar thing,
Yeah.
is that he would take on the flying creatures. At first, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll have the Chimera go up and meet the dragon too, so they'll just fight Marina and the Woodwoe. But then I was like, it's a little too weak. I ended up being even weaker than I thought.
Yeah, I'm. What stat was Marina a custom stat block or?
No, she's an Archdruidess, which is she is a CR like 14 or something. She's a powerful
Okay.
creature, but she's a spellcaster.
Right. And you just
just-
strode her up right in front of us. You also, you got screwed on initiative for sure.
Yeah.
You were like last in the round. I think both that and the kind, like all your enemies were like just at the very bottom, which that's a fucking killer when you're against 5 PCs or something.
Yep. You guys had a full round to basically do whatever you wanted to her, and then she went.
Yeah.
And by the time she went, she couldn't do her big spell, which was, in hindsight, I probably should have had her do her spell like prior to the combat, because her 9th level spell is like an ongoing effect.
You can get away with that if you make it like part of a cutscene. I feel like if you're like describing things, like, and then she points her hands and the storm comes down, and then you roll for initiative. I feel like players let you get away with that if you do it before, like as part of the like. The
if I had
monologue.
known what the initiative rules were going to be, I absolutely would have done that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of hindsight.
Make it a legendary action for her at that point. I guess
she had and she had a couple legendary actions that she used a couple times.
Yeah.
Which were just spells she could cast.
How many hit points? Like how many hit points does she have? Like how much damage? How much percentage of her life did we do in those first 2 turns? Because I did 30 something, and then Raymond came in and did like 70 or 60 damage.
She has 150 life.
So we did 100 damage in 2 turns.
Didn't get to damage anybody.
Right.
Really?
You barely got attacked. Yeah.
Oh, weird. And Marin I don't think attacked. I think she thorn whipped.
She thorn whipped Kethra. She tried to sunbeam you all. And
Man, Tim is the master of shutting your shit down.
Yep.
Like just blinding that boss, just fucked her. Which that was really clever. I mean,
that was good. That was
blinding
really
the Medusa was a hell of a move.
Because she couldn't see to cast her spells, and she couldn't.
And that's always a
see for
tricky
her
rule
thing.
to adjudicate too. Is like, well, it technically doesn't say you have to see, but like thematically, it makes sense that if you're trying to pinpoint a certain spot, how would you do
visually? Yeah. So that's why I was like, all right, when they started arguing the point, I was like, all right, I'll roll a thing. Once again, fuck you, dice.
it? Got absolutely screwed.
What I thought was going to happen is that she was going to hit some of her allies or hit herself with it. I was like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. But instead, she moved it south 5 feet, so it missed everybody.
Yeah, and I think that thorn was the only damage she did.
Yep, I think so. She didn't get. She's got. Okay, so her first act would be Storm of Vengeance, which is an ongoing damaging spell. She's a very damaging spellcaster.
Sure, you have to see.
Yeah. Sunburst, which is another AoE damage spell, dealing radiant damage. Next, she would do Firestorm, which is an ongoing like fire is everywhere spell. So she's got all these damaging spells.
Yeah.
But you guys shut her down so quick.
Yeah.
She couldn't do any of it.
Shit ton of damage, and then the blind.
Yep.
The Chimera jumped in and had 1 round or attacked everybody.
1 round. Yep.
And we blew that up.
Kristen kind of suffered from the fact that there was so much going on that I was like, oh, what am I? Like, okay, Kristen's also a thing. I fucking forgot about Kristen. All right, what's Kristen doing? So I didn't know how I was going to do it mechanically, but at some point I realized Kristen wasn't there yet. So I was like, oh, okay. It's the end of the round. I'm going to put Kristen in. It's fine. And he still wants vengeance.
Yeah, it kind of made for a fun RP moment at the end of that fight.
Right. And it was never intended for him to be an ongoing thing. He was there to kill Marina. So as soon as she was dead, he would leave. Versus the sword, which is straight up a sentient item. So you have to deal with that voice for however long.
Oh, I'm thrilled about that. That has been some of the most fun moments. Is Scarlet and that damn sword.
I cannot wait to make you have to talk like that constantly.
Is that sword from Dungeons of the Mad Mage 2, or is that something that you got?
Yep, the sword is named in Dungeons of the Mad Mage. The whole general conceit of the sword in the head and it taking over his body. The sword doesn't do it all. I changed the sword entirely, so it does. It's completely different. As it was kind of lame. But yeah, it's generally the same idea. The personality of it and what it does, which you won't know until you identify it.
I feel like we know the personality pretty well.
Yeah, you know the personality pretty well, and it's got a flaw that like will stick with you as long as you're using it, which you guys have probably figured out by now. Also, But yeah, so that's sort of its whole thing. So it is it's actually very much like the Tomb of Annihilation Gods.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, now you got this thing, but it's also a voice in your head that wants you to do stuff sometimes.
Yeah, bad luck with initiative. We did get crits into you, and the blind spell was pretty brutal. Obviously, as a DM, I felt for you with the bad initiative rolls and with the amount of damage we're doing at this onslaught. I was like, oh, this is the big boss battle, and we're just fucking destroying it.
Yeah, on one hand, that's bad. On the other hand, it did let us finish Marin Grove tonight.
That's true. Even
Which
though we
I'm
spent
not-
a lot of time with the dragon, and I was thinking,
Yeah.
like, God, it's 11 o'clock. We're just now getting up there to Merida. This is probably going to be a fight. Like, are we even going to get through this?
I at one point when we started the fight, I was like, okay, we have like
That's like
hard
just the
an
cutoff
hour.
time, too.
It's
like,
just the cutoff. I was
yeah.
like, okay, if
do we start?
if we go hard, we've got an hour here.
Yeah.
And then because you guys did so well, it went very quickly.
Yeah. And I wonder if
I
that's
had-
the case where even if it was close, if you start being like, and you killed the thing, because we're getting
Yeah.
late. Because that happened to me so many times. I'm just like, all right,
Yeah.
we need to wrap this fight up.
There were a couple of items I had in my back pocket in case, which wouldn't have happened tonight because we did it so late in the evening. But if you guys were doing too well in the fight and it wasn't late, I had a couple of things in my back pocket, like, for example, all those beasts that Kethra saw along the beach answered to Marina. So they
Yeah.
could have conceivably all come running to help her. If
It'd be
she
interesting
wanted
if
to.
we had like a separate session that was just that boss fight. If like you had
It
like
would've been
multiple like things getting added and this big thing.
Yep. It would have been different, yeah, for sure. But because you guys kind of reached her near the end, and I was in my head going like, it'd be better if they finish it tonight.
Yeah.
Like, it would
The
just be better
cadence
if it
felt,
moved.
yeah, like the pacing felt like this would be a good opportunity to wrap it up.
Yeah. So I didn't feel too bad about it. You guys didn't get to experience her full might, but still.
Chris, what was your plan then for getting us the information to head to the islands if I hadn't been able to revivify her?
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. So Dungeon of the Mad Mage, you guys are gone now, so I don't feel bad about telling you this, has a whole map for her tower. It's got rooms and secret rooms and things you can find. I didn't care for any of it, really, because there was not really a good reason for you to go explore her tower. It was just there. Even though she'd always meet you right in the front throne room of her tower, like she did 2 sessions ago. I was thinking that if you guys had killed her and had really had no other recourse, I could have invented a note that you would find in her tower between the creator and her that talks about the same thing that she talked about.
The video
Okay.
game solution would be like you find a note like the journal on her body or something when you loot it. You're
Exactly.
Like, this is
Yeah,
the information you need. You got it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's the equivalent.
What was the challenge level of the last fight? Hard or deadly? It was deadly, but
That's a weird.
it's a
With an
weird
asterisk.
D&D has a
with
weird
an
balancing issue.
Yeah.
First
Also,
of all,
I took somebody else's advice a while back that said, like, for high level D&D, ignore the multiplier. Just go with straight numbers, and I've been doing that. So I don't count it deadly unless the actual numbers of the creatures add up to a deadly encounter. And I think the multiplier like makes it like stacks those numbers based on how many creatures there are or something like that.
yeah, balance has got to go out the window once you get to like 12 or 13 or something. Like
Yeah.
players are so damn powerful, and a lot of it depends on how rested they are, how many resources they have available.
And you weren't supposed to have many resources going into this fight. It
Yeah,
just-
I was at bare minimum of all of my things.
I was gonna say I think we're getting low on spells, but all of us had a ton of life still. I feel like we didn't get
It's
really
because we got
damaged.
the long rest, yeah.
We didn't get damaged from the we short rested after the demons, and then we didn't
Yeah.
deal with the bears at all. We just went straight to the dragon and then went
Right.
right back to her. So
So technically, really technically, this whole level, you guys only really had 2 fights.
Yeah.
3 fights, I guess. The demon ambush in the one wood. That was this level.
oh, if
You
you,
guys
count,
have not.
yeah,
You
I
guys
guess
had not
so.
long. You guys had not long rested since then.
That's
so it
true.
Was part of the same.
Okay,
Like, the demons in the ice cave
yeah.
and Marina. So you guys barely took any damage from the Valdemar thing.
God, it feels like it was a bunch of sessions, but you're right. It was only really 3 fights.
Yep. So yeah, you weren't supposed to have. I mean, it was supposed to be like that same D&D War of Attrition sort of thing.
Yeah, which is probably good. Yeah, so I'm glad we treated it like it was one big dungeon and didn't get a chance to long rest in there.
Yeah, to some degree, I don't. I'm ready to read the comments. Aduka says he's listing all the reasons I should be in WoW, which is fair. And to some degree, I don't feel bad about it at all, because like if the players like rock a fight and really like handle it, that's cool.
If it's
right?
fun,
like,
it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. The only bummer as a DM is you flash back to, wait, how many hours did I spend picking her spell list?
Oh no.
How much prep time did I spend picking like what her pet would be and like what it would do, or all the different like aspects of the fight, and to have it just sort of get like, we're just gonna handle it. We're just gonna go forward.
Full on destruction.
That's the old. I mean, I'm sure that's a common DM like. Yeah. WoW is.
I mean, how much did you
preparing this?
How much did you prep the werebear stuff that we just straight up skipped?
Yeah.
Like completely.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting issue to have when you're home brewing something like that, because all your stuff is basically coming in custom. So if you skip any of it, you're like, well, that sucks.
That's not, to some degree. Sometimes I might like hang on to stuff if I make it and you guys don't ever even see it.
Yeah, you could
maybe I'll
it somewhere.
Reuse it.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that with like enemies too. If you had like certain unique enemies that maybe didn't get a chance to do anything or shine, then they can reappear somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure. I love Genosword.
Genosword's great.
That's so good.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna have to reckon with the fact that yes, the sword you were carrying around did at one point commit genocide.
As a dragon.
Oh man.
So next up, we're traveling to we level up. So we're still on our pacing for like one major area per level.
Yes, exactly. So you beat Marin's Grove. You're out of 14. 14 was just Marin's Grove or Marin's Grove and surrounding area.
Yeah.
Now you're 15. You're gonna be headed to Summit Island. And yeah, that'll be the next area.
I like how you had Rykrush pop up, be like, "We need that information still."
What I was like,
this is
so
the DM
just forget what you were doing.
Yeah,
and you're gonna be like, "Ah, we killed her. Yeah, let's go."
We all stand around.
You guys were gonna like be walking away and like, okay, we're leaving the Marin Grove now.
Now what? It's the Finding Nemo with the bags. We're like, now what?
Yeah.
Oh man, Chris, like most of what you have probably coming up will have continuous disadvantage again on attack rolls against me.
Oh, you're looking at your 15 stuff already?
Yeah. I have permanent protection from evil and good spell.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just gonna start getting crazier and crazier at this point.
Yep. It really is. Yeah. You guys are in like the high tier levels at this point.
Yeah. Anything else about session 12?
I will say one thing about session 12 that I totally just took out at the end because I was like, it doesn't make any sense. Well, it makes sense, but I don't want to do it because they're out. Is that based on the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, where this map was originally sourced, the dragon turns on you.
Oh, man.
He literally, you guys beat Marina, and the dragon looks at your stuff and goes, I want your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Time to die.
Yeah.
He's a fucking green dragon. He's evil.
That's true.
But as we were doing it, I was already kind of washy about it. I was like, well, I was thinking, what do I do? Do I have the dragon come down kind of wounded from the fight that he had up there, so maybe he's a little weaker? So then we have like a second fight after Marina where the dragon's thing. But then based on
I feel like thematically you could be like, maybe the dragon just saw us kick that fucking boss's ass and be like, all right.
Yeah. Which, for all you know, that's what happened. But,
yeah.
And just timing wise, I was like, oh, no, it just makes more sense for him to just be like, I want to kill the witch. You guys get out of here.
And I think story wise, it was cooler to have that dragon be like, leave and never return. Like, our business is finished. Like, we're not allies, but I'll let you.
Yeah.
Your reward is I will let you go now, and I thought that was still.
Which we're talking about morally questionable. You guys just left those poor werebears under the rule of a green dragon now. So who knows how that's gonna go for them?
Look, that whole area was just fucked from the beginning. Nothing really going on there. You can't save them all.
That's right.
No Captain Americas in this team.
Yeah, but yeah, essentially, you guys got what you needed, but area-wise, you guys just basically traded out one terrible dictator for another terrible dictator.
As is life.
That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
That is the way it goes. Cool.
But yeah, overall, I think it was narratively a very satisfying conclusion
for sure.
This whole section.
Yeah, I liked that. I thought that session in general, I think, was one of our strongest sessions we've had in this campaign. I think it was a really good despite the ass kicking that the DM received. In that case, I think it was just fun, and there was still some very tense, exciting moments, and just a lot of fun role playing, and it had it all.
Yep.
And just a good climax to that area. All right, I think that will do it for this week's chat for The Lost Plane. Thank you to DM Chris and players Heather and Raymond. I am Eric. Thank you to all the fans for watching, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.